We are going to start the corn salad. So, got a mixing bowl, and I'm going to use 3 ears of corn, 1 European cucumber. I like the European ones because you don't really have to peel them. The skin's not as thick and waxy, and they're typically seedless. And then we've got 1 can of chickpeas. So, we're going to start with the corn. We are going to cut the corn right off the ear, just like that. See how that happened? It came off like this. It'll kind of break up when you stir it, so I'm just going to kind of break it, kind of put it in there. Just be careful while you're cutting this because, you know, you're standing it up. Get all the corn off. Throw the cob right out. Put that in there. Now on to the other one. And this is just kind of like a nice, kind of light salad to kind of do with the leftover corn. It's pretty basic. It's nothing crazy. Put that in here. Break some of these up. And again, some of it will break up a little bit once you stir it, but we don't want it totally whole. Some of you, I know at home, I have a thing that takes the corn off the cob. It just kind of slides down from something I think we purchased back when my sister and I were in our braces phase of life, and you couldn't eat the corn on the cob because it gets stuck in your braces. So something we purchased, and we still use it today. It's great for kids, you know, that don't want to eat it on the cob. Some kids don't like it. Okay. Again, put this in here. So now we're just going to cut the ends off of the cucumber. Rid of those. I'm going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to slice it down, and then in half again. And we're going to, so it's going to be kind of quartered. And these don't need to be perfect. Kind of rough chunks here. Add that in. Should be good. We need chives. Oh yes, we need some chives. We're going to mix chives in with this. So I think I've got like 5 or 6 little chives here, so. Okay. We're going to use the whole cucumber. Again, slice it. Okay, and then this one. I'm really excited about this because there's really only so many things that come to mind to do with the corn on the cob aside from constantly reheating it, you know, or maybe putting it in a foil packet and kind of recooking. So now we're going to dump the can of chickpeas in. These were already drained and rinsed. They've got a, you know, syrup kind of thing in there, so you want to make sure that you drain them and rinse them. Put that in there. So now we are going to take the chives, and we are just going to cut the chives, and we're going to put the chives in there. And I've got, like I said, I've got about 6 We're going to save 2 because then we're just going to garnish it on the top. So okay. If you really like chives, you could use, I mean, you could even use a little more. This is kind of a dish that you can kind of easily make to how you would like it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to stir this up. I mean, this salad was so easy. Again, we're pretty much done. So we have about 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise, whatever one you prefer. They're all different. And we are just going to put that in there. And we are going to put a little bit of black pepper. Just a little bit to taste, so just to, you know, season it up a little bit, just dash a little bit in there. You can add more if you'd like. And we are going to kind of just toss this together. The mayo may not coat it really thick white. I know a lot of people are going to think of this with the mayonnaise kind of as like a pasta salad with a lot of mayo. It doesn't need to be like that. It doesn't need to be totally mayonnaise tons up there. Okay. So that is mixed. Now we're just going to take these chives. Just going to cut these up, and again, that's just going to be on top kind of as a garnish for looks. Just going to kind of sprinkle it on the top here. I don't know if anybody grows chives in their garden, but now's the time of the year, so that would be good. Okay, so this is done. So we've got about 2 cups. Obviously this is an easy one to, you know, make more with, but we're going to do 2 cups of shredded cabbage. You can shred some red and green cabbage on your own, obviously, or you can buy the pre-shredded packages that they sell at the grocery store. And then we are going to put some of the matchstick carrots in. So you're going to want to do about a cup, maybe half a cup to a cup of these. If you're doing 2 cups, if you're doing more, you're going to want to add more carrots in. So basically, we're going to do about half the bag here that I got. Obviously, you can cut the carrots on your own, but to get them this little, it's easier to purchase it. So that's what we're going to do. Now, again, we need some apples. So for this one, we are going to use a Granny Smith and a Red Delicious. And we're basically going to do the same thing that we did for the chicken, except we're not going to leave them in the moon shapes. We're going to actually slice these kind of, you know, in a matchstick type thing like the carrots. So again, go around the apple, around the core. We don't want any seeds in there. So we're going to cut them like a moon shape, and then I think we're pretty much just going to slice the moons in half or in thirds, depending on how thick they are. And then we're going to put those in there. This one we can cut up a little bit smaller. Same thing with these. Slice them up thin. And then we're going to make a dressing for this. And that you are going to need a cup of mayonnaise and about 1/3 of a cup of honey and about 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. sliced thin. Okay. You want to try and make sure for this that you're using, you know, really fresh apples. You want them to be pretty crisp. You don't want them to be mushy at all. It's not going to give the effect we're looking for, and it's not going to taste very good. Okay, same thing with the Red Delicious. Oh, we got a seed in that one, so we're going to have to cut that out. Okay, again, slice it, want to make them thin. Fall's my favorite time. I think I said this on the last episode when I did pumpkin and squash stuff. So I just love all fall stuff. Grilling season's over, it's cooling off, and there's just so much fun things that you can cook. And in the summer, nobody likes to cook inside because it gets hot. So everybody's outside. And now you can go in and make comfort food and nice stuff that you can use the oven for, and you're not complaining that it's hot. So I'm excited. Now I'm leaving these pretty long just because I like the way it looks in the slaw. But if you would like to, if you want them a little bit smaller, you can cut them in half once you get them thin, like this. Go ahead and do that too. I'll do it with these. It's already pretty thin enough. Okay, so now we've got the apples in there. Now what we're going to do is we want to put in some glazed walnuts and some cranberries, dried cranberries. So I think I used these before because I love these in a salad I made at one point. So I've got the cranberries and glazed walnuts that come together in a package. They're a salad topper. You can, you know, they come in separate bags. You can do that. If you buy them in the bag, you want to put about 2 of the pre-done bags in there. If you are doing them separately, you're going to want to do about a half a cup of each. So dump those in there. All right, bowl's pretty high. See how that goes when we're stirring it up. So now what we're going to do is make the dressing. So we've got a cup of mayonnaise already measured out. So we are going to spoon that into the bowl. Should we get it all? And again, if you make, I mean, this is a very big bowl full of stuff. So if you're going to double this, you want to double the dressing recipe as well, obviously. So now we're going to use honey, and we're going to put about a 1/3 cup of honey. I make this dressing kind of goes on some other stuff too. If anybody makes broccoli salad, you're probably going to recognize the dressing. It's kind of the same. So we're just kind of going to eyeball this. I just squeeze it and then see how it goes until I like the taste of it. So we're going to squeeze some honey in there. And then I had measured out 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. So we are going to dump that in there. And now we are going to whisk that together. Want to make sure we get it, you know, so it's runny, so it coats everything. Okay, looks good. So now what we're going to do, I'm just going to give this a little toss before we dump the dressing in so the dressing doesn't clump up right with everything on the top. I may have overfilled this bowl a little bit, so make sure you don't overfill your bowl at home. You're gonna have stuff all over the counter. Don't want to toss it too much because we're gonna have a mess. Okay, good enough, right? So now we're gonna pour the dressing over it. We're gonna get all of the dressing out. And again, some people like a lot of dressing, some people like light dressing on stuff like this. If you do this and you find that you want more dressing, make up another batch, throw it in there. An easier way to do this probably would have been to put all of this in a Ziploc baggie and shake it up and dump it in the bowl. I like Ziploc baggies. They're good for that. So, again, we are going to toss this. Make sure you get it all coated. Make sure you don't dump it all over the counter like I'm doing. Well, you win some, you lose some, right? Okay, so there we go. We've got it all stirred up. And when you're presenting this, you know, if you're doing it for Thanksgiving or something else, maybe take a little bit of the dried cranberries and walnuts and maybe sprinkle some on the top just for like presentation purposes. Make sure you can see some of the apples in there. Bring those to the top. We'll leave those in there for when we serve it. Put this piece of apple back in. Okay. And we are going to start on our salad with the cantaloupe. Okay, so you want one cantaloupe halved, and you want to take the seeds out, much like you were carving a pumpkin. We're going to need a big bowl. And for this, you are going to need the cantaloupe, a package of prosciutto, or about 5 to 6 slices of it. You can get it in the deli department. You need a container of pearl mozzarella balls. You need some olive oil, honey, white balsamic vinegar, not regular balsamic, it's white balsamic. You need a little pepper, and you need some mint leaves. So what we're gonna do is, I have a melon baller. Not everybody has a melon baller, you can use a small spoon. You wanna go in and take the baller and make a melon ball. And you're just gonna put them in here. You're gonna scoop them out. They're not all gonna be a completely perfect circle, but this is the point of it. Just get in there, scoop them out. This is actually very good. I made this on Easter, and it was a big hit. So I wasn't sure what else I was gonna do on the show today, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just have to do that because it was so good. So this is pretty exciting. You're not gonna get all of the melon out. You're gonna wanna obviously have some melon left over. Again, don't waste it, eat it. Don't like to throw anything out. But the melon baller is gonna get down to the skin, and you don't wanna start like scooping out, you know. It's gonna be a little difficult once you get a lot of the melon out of there. Okay, so now we're gonna go on to the other side. So I really like brunch. I like breakfast food, and I like other food. So you kind of get away with it all at brunch because you get breakfast, lunch food, dinner food, desserts, fun drinks. It's a win-win, I think, for everybody. So I'm very excited to do a brunch. And I think at another point in time, we're gonna have to do another show where we have some brunchy food too, because it is so good. Maybe we'll have like a tea party or something, do some brunch food. Okay, so we've got the melon in here. Now what we're gonna do is take the mozzarella balls, and we're gonna dump them right in. There we go. And now we are going to take the prosciutto and basically, this doesn't have to be fancy. Just rip it into chunks, throw it in there. Don't need to be small chunks, however it rips. Toss it right in. This package that I got, I believe has about 5 or 6 slices in it, so. This is good because the prosciutto is, you know, it's a pork product, so it's salty. And then you've got the cheese, and then you have the melon, which is sweet. And then the sauce is sweet because of the honey, but then it has a bit of a kick to it because of the balsamic, so it's just really good. And then it's got mint, it's just a really fresh kind of thing. Okay. That one's a little too big. Okay, I'm actually just gonna leave 2 slices in there and not use them because I didn't fully get the other melon out, just because I want to make sure we get this all done in time. So I'm going to do a couple less slices than I usually would. Okay, so those are in there, so we're going to set that aside just for a second. And now what we are going to do is, we've got some mint, and we are just going to take a couple of the big sprigs, or leaves actually, sprigs would be the rosemary. So we're going to take a couple of the big leaves, and we're just going to kind of cut them a little bit. We're just going to sprinkle them over here. And we're going to leave a couple little ones for decoration for afterwards when we put it on the thing. Do a couple more. Okay. Now, we're going to make the sauce. And that is 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And it is 1.5 tablespoons of the white balsamic. 2 tablespoons of honey. Again, I didn't measure this out, I'm just going to eye it. If you have a little bit extra honey, it's probably okay because it's sweet. And then just a tiny little dash of pepper, just a tiny, not too much. Then we're going to take a whisk. We're just going to whisk it together, kind of get the honey diluted in there a little bit. It's not all clumpy. How much time is left? Oh, I can see the tart from here. It's looking really good. 8 minutes left on the tart, so. Okay. So now what we're going to do is pour this over this, and then we're just going to lightly toss it. So here we go. Make sure we get it all out. And we're just going to lightly kind of toss. Get it coated. This is so good. I'm so excited about this. And this is something, if you don't eat meat, the prosciutto really gives it the flavor because of the salt. But if you don't eat meat, you can eat it without it. I don't, to be honest with you, typically eat pork products. I just don't like them. They're very salty for me. So I did eat this, and I didn't really eat much of the meat with it. So you could always make it without the prosciutto. Okay, so this is all tossed together. And we're going to dish some out